Hello, I'm Amy from moonmindology.com, and today I want to look at Jupiter in Taurus for all of the ascendants. So if you like my content, don't forget to like it, comment and subscribe. Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, so Jupiter is about luck, law, accumulation, expansion and the circulation of wealth. Being in Taurus, this is about small business, agriculture, the economy and material goods. When you combine the meaning of these things, I think that we're going to start to see small businesses crop up, and also the economy should start to recover. Of course, depending on your ascendant or moon sign, it could affect you differently. Remember that Jupiter expands, so if the house or the ruler is associated with an evil house like the 6th, 8th or 12th, you could have some adverse effects. Look back to how things were mid-2012 to 2013, and also look mid-2000 and mid-2001. Looking back can give you a bit of an idea, as to what was going on. I've had a bit of a mix in my personal experience, but another good thing about this sign change for Jupiter is that when it was in Aries, it had a malefic aspect from Saturn, and Saturn is no longer aspecting this planet. So Jupiter will go into Taurus on the 2nd of May 2024 and then leave on the 15th of May 2025. So without further ado, let's get into the signs. Aries. If your moon or ascendant is in Aries, Jupiter is going to be in your 2nd house of money and wealth, and it rules your 9th and 12th houses, so it could bring those meanings into your life. But depending on the dignity of your Jupiter, you could find that there are some problems with debt, your father, teachers, they can all be a problem as well, and they can impact your sense of security at this time. However, if you have a good Jupiter, then this could be a time where you are making money and you could find lots of bargains, and you could be traveling or dealing with foreigners in general. There are also links to hospitals as well, so be careful during this time, especially if your Jupiter is a bit problematic. Taurus. This is your 1st house, and Jupiter rules your 11th and 8th houses. So these are 2 houses that can sometimes be difficult. And if you have an afflicted or weak Jupiter, you will have to watch out for problems with insurances, accidents, and even addictions that can overcome you during this time. You also have to think, have to be aware of problems with siblings, older siblings or friends. And there can be problems with bonuses during this time. I think the advice here overall is not to take risks, and I wouldn't gamble. But there can also be problems with social groups, with scandals, and if you have a good Jupiter though, you could find that you're attracting lots of friends and bonuses during this time. People may find you charming or want to give you opportunities, and there can also be payouts from insurance companies, or there could be money that comes from other people. One thing I will say, that regardless of Jupiter's strength, you should look into finding who you are. The 8th house is all about personal development and internal secrets. So doing some personal therapy is going to be really helpful for you. And the 8th house brings out secrets within you, and it puts them on display. So you can experience parts of yourself, but there is also, that negative connotation as well with scandalous happenings. But this is an excellent year for character building, no matter how your Jupiter is. Personal growth as well, and there is an aspect to your 5th house, because there can be impacts to your creativity, children, and also your advisory skills as well. Jupiter is in your 12th house, and this rules the 7th and 10th houses. And as Jupiter rules 2 angles, this can be a little bit problematic for you. However, it can still be good if it's strong or well aspected. But if you have problems with Jupiter, you could find that your marriage, serious relationships or your career, they could take a bit of a hit here. And I really would be careful with signing contracts as well. Make sure you don't create any problems that can have an impact on your reputation, because that can be a little bit vulnerable during this time. And be especially careful with property and debt. You could encounter some expenditure, so I'd say really think about your decisions carefully. If you have a good Jupiter, you could find that it's time, at this time you may experience endings that are positive. And if you're unhappy about your job or you want to explore charity, this is an excellent time to change jobs and get involved in charity. And there can be some time spent around hospitals as well, so be careful. Ask your loved ones not to do silly things, especially children as well. Cancer. Jupiter is in your 11th house and it rules the 6th and 9th houses. So you may have events with friends, groups, the oldest sibling if you have one, or if you have a poor Jupiter, there could be problems that affect your older siblings' needs, or you may have some issues with your friends. There can be some struggles with achieving goals and wishes during this time as well. But if you have a strong and benefic Jupiter, you could find that you're spending more time going to church, university, or you could be dealing with some kind of litigation or legal event. So you could be finding you're getting lots of opportunities in those areas, and they can bring bonuses or social standing. The 6th house is also about what you do in the daytime, so you could be spending a lot of time in education, or you could even be going abroad. Leo. Jupiter is in your 10th house and it rules the 5th and the 8th houses. So if you have problems with your Jupiter, it can create issues with your career and reputation. So there can be scandal or debt, or creative speculative endeavors could head into choppy waters. But if you have a good Jupiter, this could be a time where your creative skills and ventures pay off, and you could get investment from some kind of from somebody else if that's what your work entails as well. Virgo. Jupiter is in your 9th house and it rules the 4th and 7th houses. Jupiter tends to be more of a problematic planet for Virgo as it rules 2 angles, but it depends on whether it's well aspected or in a good sign in your natal chart. If your Jupiter is problematic, you may find that you have problems with your father, education, and I would say be careful of law as well during this time. And you could find that you're disillusioned with religion as well. If Jupiter is good for you, then this is a great time for higher education, foreign travel, and also your father. So this is a good time to join church and spend time with like-minded people. Libra. Jupiter's in your 8th house and it rules the 3rd and 6th houses. So this is a collection of evil houses. So unless you have some real positive associations, I'd say that this can be a hard time for you. If you have a poor Jupiter, you can have a lot of competition as well as potential scandals. There can be problems with your siblings, and also your daily life can become a little bit tense. There can be debt or situations where you may have to get loans out, and there can also be problems with peers and traveling around. Public transport could pose a problem for you, and there can be problems in general with vehicles, so do be careful of accidents and poor health as well. But if you have a good Jupiter, you could get an opportunity to obtain a new vehicle or a loan to obtain a vehicle out of choice as opposed to being forced to it. Not because the old one broke, just because you think it's time for something new. And it's a good time for education, delving into the occult, and if you're looking to learn more about astrology, this is a good time to find a training course as well. Scorpio. Jupiter is in your 7th and it rules the 2nd and 5th houses, and if you have a good Jupiter, this is a potential time for marriage and childbirth, as well as a bump in your partner's income. So you could be relying on your partner at the moment as well, and this could be good for creativity. So you could have some really good ideas and give or get some excellent advice. But if you have a poorly aspected or placed Jupiter, you could find some kind of difficulty in your marriage, relationships, or problems with your children. And there can also be expenditure, especially with the aspect to the 2nd house. So be careful what you eat and drink, as well as you could overdo it, especially with Jupiter here. Sagittarius. Jupiter is in your 6th house and it rules the 1st and 4th houses. And if you have a poor Jupiter, you could have problems with your job or what you do in the daytime. It could be problems with illness, or your mother could have health problems. So do watch out for accidents as well as car accidents, and you could have problems in the home that can cause damage to certain things as well. So if you have a good Jupiter, you may find that you're interested in health, especially during this time, regardless of paying attention to lifestyle or trying to live a healthy lifestyle, even though that's important. You know, you could be really focused on this during this time more than you usually are. And if you have been ill, you could find that you are getting better or getting a better diagnosis, or useful therapy. And this can be good for your career as well, as there is an aspect to the 10th house as well as your 2nd house of income. So this is good for security, and you could get a pay rise or recognition at work or even a new job. Capricorn. Jupiter is in your 5th house and it rules the 3rd and 12th houses. So if you have a problematic Jupiter, you could have problems with children, travel, education. You could struggle to get good advice and generally be going through a dry patch in terms of creativity. And there is aspect to your 1st and 9th houses. So you will need to be mindful of your health, and also your father could have some issues around this time. But if you have a good Jupiter, you could fall pregnant, enter higher education, or even get some recognition of some sort. There can be opportunities for creative ventures as well. And you know, it could be good for advertising during this time if that's something that you do. You could start writing a book, as we have a combination of the 3rd of communications and the 5th of creativity. And also, if you think about it, the 12th house is also about imagination and an isolation, and you need to be isolated in order to write a book. So this is a great combination for delving into these things, especially if you have a strong Saturn and Mercury in your chart. Aquarius. Jupiter is in your 4th and it rules the 2nd and 11th houses. So these 2 houses are money houses for you, which is good for income. And if you have a bad Jupiter, you could encounter problems with your home, plans to renovate, or you could throw money into something and just get nowhere. And this can also apply to your cars as well. Your mother could need a lot of attention during this time. But if you have a good Jupiter, you could be finding that you're making money on your house and it's going up in value. You know, it could be a pretty happy time for you, where you have house parties, find good property, and it's generally a positive time for you, and you could be looking for a new car as well. Pisces. Jupiter is in your 3rd and it rules the 1st and 10th houses. So if you have a problematic Jupiter, you could find that you have lost interest in self-expression and hobbies. You may not, you know, feel like you're getting the same opportunities for, you know, short distance travel, and you could feel quite set back and uninspired during this time. But you must make sure you spend a lot of time looking after yourself during this time and try to find the motivation. You know, you can spend a lot of time working, so it may be limited for the amount of hobbies you can partake in. But if you have a good Jupiter, then you may feel very expressive during this time, and there could be an opportunity for a lot of local travel, and you may feel that you have more of a zest for life, and you could be full of plans, hopes, dreams, desired, and it's a good time to meet up and spend time with friends, groups and peers. And your communicative skills, you know, they can be very strong during this time, and you can feel like you are in excellent health and ready to take on the world. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this today. As always, please leave me a comment and let me know how it goes for you. Does this apply to you? And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.